a motor vehicle, to which I am not operating a motor vehicle. And this is what we are trying to
I guess. Uh,
circumvent.
yeah,
I am
and it's
operating
not
my
it's not
automobile,
circumventing.
not a motor vehicle,
I will ask you this: how is your right to travel removed
by
by
trying
receiving
to
the
require
citation?
me to have a license to operate a automobile, which is my private vehicle.
We've got a pretty intense court hearing today. There's a sovereign citizen who seriously believes he doesn't need car insurance because he's traveling, not driving. The magistrate and attorney take their time with him, and things get a little heated. Honestly, I think the magistrate was too patient. I would have just shut this guy down right away. Tell me what you think while watching. Was the magistrate too soft, or did he handle it the right way? Let's jump in.
This is a civil infraction. If you were found responsible, all other things being equal, the court would assess $125 fines, costs, and fees. It is a 0-point ticket. And in the second case that ends with the letter B, that same date, time, and place, you were issued a citation for having an expired registration plate. That is also a civil infraction. It is also a 0-point civil infraction. If you were found responsible, all other things being equal, the court would assess $110 fines, costs, and fees. So first question, is that the ticket or the two cases that you thought you were appearing about, Mr. Williams?
It is.
Okay, and same question to you, Officer Kellums?
Yes, sir.
Very good. In every civil case, the plaintiff has the burden of proof, and in a case like this, that burden of proof is called by a preponderance of evidence.
Only question I have is, will the laws of the U.S. Supreme Court be applicable, and the federal statutes and definitions of motor vehicle and automobile be applicable in this proceeding?
They are the state of Michigan laws that will be applicable.
Okay. The other question is, are you already not bound by U.S. Supreme Court rulings?
Every court is bound by relevant Supreme Court rulings.
Okay. All right.
I'm not sure why you're asking that, but that's okay. All right, Officer Kellums, if you would begin, please.
So on November 19th, 2024, I was on patrol for the Battle Creek Police Department. When I observed the vehicle that Mr. Roosevelt was driving, I observed that it had expired tags on the vehicle. I then conducted a traffic stop on Fountain Street near Meacham Ave. Found Mr. Williams to be driving the vehicle, where I issued him the citations. When speaking with Mr. Williams, he could not provide insurance, and his tags were expired.
All right. Did Mr. Williams say anything to you during the stop about having insurance or not having insurance, or anything about the tags on the plates, anything like that?
He informed me that he did not have to have insurance due to that he was traveling, and to drive a vehicle, you have to have insurance. Something regarding Supreme Court. That's about all he said.
Okay. All right. Do you want me to consider anything else at this point, Officer Kellums?
No, sir.
Okay, Mr. Williams, could you hear Officer Kellums' testimony?
Yes, I heard his testimony.
Very good. Thank you for your patience. What do I need to know, sir?
Okay, I did inform Officer Kelly that I am not operating a motor vehicle, but I am operating an automobile. I did inform Officer Kelly of the ruling of Rodriguez v. Ray Donovan, U.S. Department of Labor, 769 Federal 2nd, 1344, where the U.S. Supreme Court's decision has ruled that all codes, rules, and regulations are for government authorities only and not for human creators. In accordance with God laws, all codes, rules, and regulations are unconstitutional and lacking due process.
All right, I'm going to interrupt you just for a second. Are you telling me that a case at 769 Fed 2nd, 1344 indicates that all laws are unconstitutional?
So this sovereign citizen tries to defend himself by bringing up a case called Rodriguez versus Ray Donovan. But that case has nothing to do with his situation. It was about something that happened in another state, and it doesn't change Michigan's law at all. In Michigan, you can't just say you're traveling and ignore the law. It doesn't work like that. I don't even know why he mentioned it. Maybe he thought he could trick the magistrate, but come on, the magistrate went to law school and this guy didn't. Let me know in the comments if you can figure out what he was thinking. Because I sure can't.
All codes, rules, and regulations. Yes, sir. Rodriguez v. Ray Donovan. And if
Well,
I'm not
and
mistaken,
you said that was Department of what?
U.S. Department of Labor.
Okay. U.S. Department of Labor doesn't publish decisions in the Fed second. Um,
Okay,
can you
that
tell
is
me a little bit more about the case? What was at issue in the case?
it was regarding what we're discussing here, the requirements of a driver's license and the need when it's required to have one, stating that when you're not operating in commerce, to which I informed the officer that I am not operating in commerce as stated in USC 18 USCA 31 paragraph A6 states that a motor vehicle, the term of motor vehicle meaning every description of carriage, contrivance, propelled or drawn or mechanical powered and used for commercial purposes. This is what Title 18 USCA Section 31A6 states or defines as a motor vehicle, to which I am not operating in commerce. I'm not
For
using.
the purposes of that particular chapter of the United States Code, it would not control what happens in terms of the Michigan legislature defining in Chapter 257 what a motor vehicle is, and an automobile
Right.
under Michigan law is a motor vehicle. But okay, continue.
Right. It's a motor vehicle, which is described as anything, even by the Michigan compliance statute of 751, which you just stated, is determined as something that's transporting goods, which I'm not transporting goods.
I understand your position, and I can tell you that that position doesn't happen to be legally correct. But go ahead.
So you're basically stating that there's a misinterpretation of what's in black and white.
This guy really tries to test the magistrate's patience. He even puts words in the magistrate's mouth, not a smart move when that person decides your future. When you're in court, the last thing you should do is try to outsmart the one who decides your punishment. I can't tell if he's just clueless or if he's trying to play mind games, like he thinks he's outsmarting everyone. It's kind of funny to watch because he clearly thinks he's winning, but it just gets worse. He even brings up more random cases. So let's see what else he tries next.
No, I'm telling you that you have misinterpreted the application of 18 USC 31A6 and 769 F second or Fed second 1344.
Okay,
But
well, I see where
I've
this
heard
is
your
going.
argument.
So there will be no further arguments because I see that you're not going to agree to, because like I said, when I've given it to you, the cases where they're like Shapiro v. Thompson, where the U.S. Supreme Court has said that a driver license is not a requirement, that you're trying to convert a right into a privilege, to which is covered by Article 1, Section 8, to which
I'll ask you this. Is that right, the right to travel?
that is a right to travel, convey, however you want it, by the U.S. Constitution.
What you just told me was that somehow but regardless, am trying to convert a right into a privilege. Now, the question I have for you is, what right has been converted to a privilege?
My right to freely travel unencumbered and
now,
unfettered.
I will ask you this. How is your right to travel removed by receiving the citation?
By trying to require me to have a license to operate a automobile, which is my private vehicle.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you want me to consider?
No, sir.
All right. Well, I can tell you this. The Michigan motor vehicle laws, including the laws that require you to carry insurance, that require your vehicle to be registered, and require that registration to be current, do not run in violation of any right to travel under the Constitution or the United States Supreme Court decision that you have cited. In fact, Michigan courts have held that essentially the right to travel means the right for you to move from A to B, not the right for you to travel from A to B under your most convenient way. So you could walk from point A to B all you wanted. You could take a taxi or an Uber or a plane or a train or a bus. But if you wish to travel by using a motor vehicle, the Michigan laws are applicable and don't unconstitutionally interfere with the right to travel. It doesn't convert the right to travel into a privilege. You are not denied the right to travel. You may be denied the privilege of traveling via a motor vehicle.
I don't think this magistrate has dealt with a sovereign citizen before. He's explaining things way too much, almost like he's trying to prove that the sky is blue. Honestly, it almost feels like the sovereign citizen is winning just because he's getting so much time to talk. Still, I respect the magistrate for being patient and hearing him out. But seriously, these sovereign citizens shouldn't get to talk this much. It's just wasting time, and if you look at the cop in the corner, it's like he's thinking, please, let's just go home. What do you guys think? Is the magistrate being too nice or fair enough? Let's get back to it.
That is what the law says, and that's what I'm finding. Is there anything else you want me to consider about that finding?
Shuttleworth v. Birmingham, U.S. 147. Do you mind telling me what the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in that?
U.S. 147 doesn't give me the site of a case. That's an incomplete site of a case. Okay.
It was Shuttle.
And if you wish me to consider the case, why don't you tell me what was at issue in the case and what year it was decided?
I said Shuttleworth v. Birmingham, U.S. 147, 1969, where it says license.
U.S. 147 is not a complete cite. The way you cite to a case is by name and then volume number and then the name of the publication and then the page number. So, for instance, when you said 769 Fed 2nd 1344, what that means is volume 769 of a book or volumes called the Federal Reporter, 2nd edition, at page 1344. So when you're asking me about this most recent case that you've talked about, what you said was US 147, I think. That's not the citation to a case. So you're going to have to tell me more about that case. Who were the parties to that case and what issue was before the Supreme Court in that case?
Okay, so you didn't hear me cite the name of Shuttleworth v. Birmingham?
I heard you say the name. That doesn't tell me what, that's not a complete cite of the case.
All right. Do you not have the documents that I filed when I filed to say that I want to have an informal hearing? The affidavit that writes that my
there are documents that have been scanned into the court that you dropped off.
Okay. So
from those documents, why don't you tell me the proper citation for Shuttle versus Birmingham?
Okay. Traffic infractions are not crimes, blah, blah, blah. Person faced with okay.
Right. Traffic infractions are not crimes. That's absolutely correct. They are civil infractions for a reason.
I was reading from a different case, but the case that I'm citing from states that no license necessary to drive an automobile on public highways, streets, no license is necessary. The word operator should not include any person who solely transport his own property and who transport no persons or property for hire.
Where's that citation from?
Okay, I just appeal it, and that way I can make sure all citations are.
That's fine. I mean, the idea is I can't look up what you're telling me, right, without a proper citation. So you can read. I mean, for all I know, and I don't mean this, I'm using a farcical example. For all I know, you're quoting the municipal court in Honolulu, Hawaii, which has no jurisdiction over Michigan.
At this point, the magistrate really needs to end the hearing. The sovereign citizen can't even quote his own cases correctly. It's like he's giving a book report on a book he never read. This whole thing feels like a joke, and I don't know how the magistrate stays so calmed. It's like he's trying to explain basic law to a brick wall. I get that it's part of his job, but come on, this is too much explaining. What do you guys think? Let's move on to see what happens in the sentencing.
V. Massey, 196 Southwest 2nd, 493, Texas, 273.
Okay. Well, and I can tell you that Texas law, a court interpreting Texas law, that decision wouldn't be controlling on a Michigan court. But that's fine. I think I understand where you're going. If you want, I don't need to consider anything else. I'm just asking you, is there anything else you want to present to me?
If you're not going to consider anything else, then we can proceed on to your ruling, of which I know you're going to find. So And like
But
I said,
now,
like you said, I have a right to appeal it. So
yeah, and I'm willing to listen. If you're going to quote something, I need to know what you're quoting, and I need a proper citation so I can look it up myself, right? Because otherwise, people could just run around quoting Mickey Mouse if they wanted.
is my automobile not my private personal automobile that's not being used in commerce?
I would have no idea the use of your motor vehicle, and it's not relevant to me for the purposes of deciding whether you're responsible for these civil infractions.
Okay. Well, I have nothing else for you to consider.
Well, very good. I'm letting you know the law does not make a distinction between your using the vehicle for personal reasons or you're using the vehicle for commercial reasons when
But this,
your registration plate is expired and
but
when
the,
you fail to show proof of insurance. Both of those are
but the
required
MCL
for
language.
both of those are required under Michigan law for anyone operating any motor vehicle. That's what I can tell
Okay.
you. So
Correct.
if you,
A motor vehicle to which I am not operating a motor vehicle. And this is what we are trying to
I guess,
circumvent.
yeah,
I am
and
operating my
it's not
automobile,
circumventing.
not a motor vehicle.
I can tell you that an automobile is considered a motor vehicle under the Michigan Motor Vehicle Code. So that's fine. Is there anything else you want me to consider?
Nope.
Very good. All right. So I've listened very carefully to the evidence. I do find that it's more likely than not that when you were required to by Officer Kellums at a traffic stop show proof that your vehicle was insured, that you failed to do so, and that it is more likely that your operator's, or not your operator's license, I'm sorry, the registration plates on the vehicle were expired. So I'm going to assess the $125 on the no proof of insurance case and the $110 on the expired plates case. All right. Thank you both for your time and patience. You're all set. Have a very good day.
Thank you,
Sure
sir.
will.
You too.
To be honest, this sovereign citizen wasn't as rude as most of them. Usually, they're loud and disrespectful, but this guy was actually pretty calm. He even told the magistrate to have a good day, which is rare. It felt like he just wanted to try out the whole Sovereign Citizen Act, but once he realized it didn't work, he gave up. In the end, he had to pay $235 in fines for expired tags and no insurance, which is fair. Those rules exist to keep everyone safe on the road. If you don't follow them, you have to pay the price. Simple as that. So, what do you guys think? Did the magistrate handle this the right way, or should he have been tougher? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate your support.